Tonight we're making the most bomb freaking brownies you're ever gonna eat. I mean, look at how freaking perfect these are. Oh my god. Now for these brownies, I am using brown butter. Here I have 4 sticks of melted butter, and I'm just going to heat this up on medium heat and bring it up to a boil. Once the butter is boiling, you want to whisk it up pretty constantly. You don't really want this sitting. I do suggest that you do this in a light colored pan so it's easier to tell when the butter changes colors. When the butter gets super bubbly and frothy on the top like this, you know that it's close to the browning stage. I don't know if you can see this, but you can kind of see a caramel brown color in there, and it smells different. It smells really good. This right here is how you know that the butter is done. I'm going to transfer this brown butter to a glass measuring dish to stop the cooking. And these brown bits right here, that's the magical flavor. Now some of the liquid will evaporate, so I like to add a few more tablespoons of butter in here to compensate for the liquid that evaporated during the cooking process, and just to completely ensure that this stops cooking completely. Here I have 8 ounces of Ghirardelli semi-sweet baking chocolate, and I am just going to chop it up into smaller pieces and transfer it to a bowl. Try not to get it everywhere, and I'm not doing that good of a job of not getting it everywhere. Along with this chocolate, I'm going to add a 1/3 cup or 30 grams of cocoa powder, along with about a tablespoon of decaffeinated espresso powder. You can use regular espresso powder if you want to. I have a lot of small children that I bake for in my family, so that's why I choose to use decaffeinated, as well as our 2 cups of brown butter that we made earlier. Now whisk this up real good until the chocolate is melted and this ganache is smooth. Now before you start making your brownie batter, you want to prep your tin. This is a 13 by 9 metal baking dish. I'm just going to take a piece of parchment paper that's slightly bigger than the tin and a clean pair of kitchen shears and just cut a slit down the corner. Your parchment paper will easily fit in your tin. For my dry ingredients, I'm going to combine an additional 64 grams or 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder and 210 grams or 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Now in case you can't tell, I am very extra and like to sift everything together. And for our wet ingredients, we're going to combine 396 grams or 2 cups of sugar, 107 grams or a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, a little bit of vanilla extract, a pinch of kosher salt, and 6 eggs. Now, in place of a chemical leavener like baking powder, we're just going to turn our mixer on like the medium setting. We're going to mix the shit out of this for 10, 12, 15 minutes. You don't have to have a stand mixer for this. I've used it with a hand mixer plenty of times. This is what we're looking like. All right, this has been mixing for 11 minutes. Now I'm going to add in our chocolate ganache, and I'm going to mix this up for an additional 2 minutes. All right, now I'm going to add in the dry ingredients into this mixture, and we're actually done with the stand mixer. I'm going to fold this in by hand. All right, now that this is mixed up, we're going to transfer it to our tin. Now pop this hoe in a 350-degree oven for 25 minutes. All right, these brownies have been baking for 25 minutes, and to help with that like beautiful crackly topping, we're going to slam these down on a hard surface. See? Now pop these hoes back in the oven for an additional 20 minutes. All right, y'all, I baked these brownies for an additional 20 minutes, and they are done. How easy was that? I do suggest that you let these brownies sit out on the counter for about 20 minutes before you take them out of the tin. All right, y'all, these brownies have been out of the oven for about 30 minutes. I can touch the container without burning myself. I'm just going to lift these out of here. The best part about using parchment paper when making any baked goods, look at this. I can just put this right back in the counter. I'll just scrape that off and put it back in the counter. Nobody has to know about it. Shh. I'm going to cut these brownies in fourths. I do suggest that you take a paper towel and wipe off your knife after each cut to ensure that everything is looking cute. And that's about it, y'all. These brownies are done. How easy was that? Look at how freaking perfect these are, y'all. Oh my god. All right, y'all, go make you some of these brownies, but if you're gonna be rude, eat crap then.